Welcome to our channel. Today, we bring you a French film starring Sophie Marceau titled Marquise. Girl dancing before the king, but forgot to wear underwear. Clean side roll, the scenery of spring is unobstructed. The girl's name is Marquise. Born in a poor town, her father took advantage of her seductive dance moves. Attracted many male customers. Just pay 100 yuan. You can develop an intimate relationship with her. The Molière theatre company that passed by here that day. Impressed by her beautiful dance, Ryan seduces her with gig opportunities, as long as Marquise is her wife. Then she can go to Paris to perform with the troupe. Marquise readily agreed. Her biggest dream is to become an actress. It seems that she is about to fulfill her dream of becoming an unparalleled performer soon. However, her first scene in life turned into a disaster. She stood dumbfounded in the center of the stage, completely forgetting her lines. Despite the hints from her co-stars everywhere, she remained red-faced and bewildered. Fortunately, Ryan, an experienced stage performer, successfully resolved the farce with the help of other actors. Marquise deeply regretted her actions, even though Ryan didn't blame her. However, in subsequent performances, Marquise lost the opportunity to speak. The director, Molière, only allowed her to play wooden and foolish characters. The turning point came when her graceful dance captivated the attention of many aristocrats who came to watch the performance. During the actors' changing time, to prevent boredom, Marquise showcased her talents with lively music and nimble dancing. The audience's eyes were all on her. Coincidentally, the playwright, Lasson, was also present and saw Marquise's potential. He decided to invite her to join his theatre troupe. Even Duke Philip I of Orleans, who usually showed no interest in women, became enchanted by Marquise's charm. He requested Molière's troupe to create another dance a week later as a birthday gift for the king. Performing in front of the king was a rare opportunity. Marquise wanted a role with lines instead of dancing. Using her old approach, she offered her body as a gift to Molière. However, Molière did not keep his promise, and in frustration, Marquise ran out, intending to jump into the river. In a critical moment, Lasson intervened, telling Marquise that complaining about life was meaningless. Only by seizing every opportunity tightly could one gain recognition from others. Marquise suddenly realized this truth. She appeared in front of the king wearing a beautiful dress, clearly attracting his deep interest. He even stepped onto the stage to dance with her. Marquise gradually elevated the atmosphere, but unexpectedly, due to time constraints, she wasn't wearing underwear. A clean somersault fascinated the king with the mysterious sight. This performance was too novel, and Marquise got the opportunity to be the lead actress. However, because Molière's comedy performances were satirical and unfriendly towards the church, and for the sake of national peace, the king insisted that she could only perform Lasson's tragedies. A group of comedians performing tragedy was a dilemma for Molière and his troupe, but Marquise was different. As long as she had her role, comedy or tragedy didn't matter to her. Lasson also saw great potential in Marquise and intended to bring her under his wing. From the moment he laid eyes on Marquise, he felt that she deserved a unique role, making her the most prominent actress in Paris. The two hit it off quickly and soon came together. However, Lasson's interest in Marquise had a hint of personal emotion mixed in. He taught Marquise lines in a highly ambiguous manner. Unfortunately, this ambiguous interaction was overheard by Ryan, who thought Marquise had fallen for this man she barely knew. A sense of bitterness surged in Ryan's heart. Although Marquise resisted, there was an inexplicable sentiment in her heart. Nevertheless, Lasson was a playwright in the court, surrounded by people of wealth and nobility. His life was filled with comparison and competition. In Lasson's own words, he danced in the hands of the powerful, and a slight misstep could cost him his life. On the other hand, Marquise was a girl from a small town, accustomed to equality and joy around her. However, the princesses and heiresses here scrutinized her from head to toe, making her feel like an anomaly among the aristocracy. Moreover, the queen openly mocked her for forgetting to wear underwear, causing Marquise to hang her head in shame, her eyes filled with tears. Eventually, she couldn't bear it and ran out, emotionally shattered. Marquise realized she had made a mistake. She agreed to Lasson's request for private training at her home, fully aware of Lassen's true intentions. However, she still went. Lassen lusted after her beauty, desiring to possess everything about her. Marquise, for the sake of her husband, rejected his advances. Ryan knew that Lassen was his romantic rival, but as long as Marquise's heart belonged to him, he didn't care about her actions or who she was with. Witnessing Ryan's magnanimity, Marquise's heart was touched. She still believed she loved Ryan and was willing to spend her life with him. To secure performance opportunities, Marquise had offered her body to the playwright. However, the incident started 3 days ago when Molière, dissatisfied with Lassen's tragedies, insisted on incorporating dance into the performance. Lassen vehemently opposed any alterations to his script. Their argument escalated, leading to a complete rupture between the two troupes. Despite the fallout, Lassen did not give up on Marquise. He worked through the night to write a script exclusively for Marquise and sent it to her. This script ensured that all eyes would be on her during the performance. Despite her husband's objections, Marquise insisted on going to Lassen's home. If the rehearsals went smoothly, 3 weeks later, both the king and the entire city of Paris would applaud Marquise. Marquise knew that Lassen not only wanted to make her famous but also wished to keep her by his side. However, Marquise was not willing to leave Ryan. To express gratitude to Lassen, she reluctantly offered her body, but Lassen refused her advances. Despite being captivated by Marquise's charm, Lassen was adamant about maintaining the purity of his work. Soon after, Ryan fell seriously ill. Knowing his days were numbered, he sought out Lassen, wanting to entrust his lifelong love to him. Ryan was the man who loved Marquise the most in the world. He made Lassen swear that he would never do anything to harm Marquise. Although Lassen's eyes showed avoidance, he still agreed. A few days later, Ryan collapsed on the stage, having spent his entire life performing comedy, even in his last moments, bringing joy to the audience. Marquise, although saddened, did not feel too much despair in her heart. She never truly understood whether she loved Ryan as a person or his indulgence towards her. With Ryan gone, Marquise naturally ended up with Lassen. The two enjoyed an unreserved life together. Later, Lassen specifically wrote a tragedy for Marquise called Andromaque. This Marquise's first lead role in a tragedy, and it was performed in front of the king. She was nervous and apprehensive, but just as Lassen had said, Marquise was born for the stage. The moment she stepped onto the stage, all her anxiety turned into effortless grace. It seemed as if the stage was created for her. Every line delivered by Marquise tugged at the audience's heartstrings, making the aristocrats let go of their prejudices and, along with her, experience the highs and lows of the characters. Marquise succeeded. After the performance, she received applause from everyone, even colleagues who had doubted her before embraced her excitedly. Even Molière, who had always distrusted her, had to admit that she had truly succeeded. From that moment, Marquise underwent a transformation, successfully joining the ranks of the aristocracy. The once pure and innocent girl from a small town seemed to be drifting farther away from us. Lassen's tragedy became immensely popular, overshadowing Molière's comedy, which gradually lost its appeal. With no income for a long time, landlords and creditors came knocking, taking away even the props used in performances. Molière found himself unable to change this situation and resorted to alcohol to numb himself. Learning about Molière's struggles, Marquise did not dwell on the past injustices she suffered. Instead, she proactively sought out Molière and helped him regain the confidence he had lost. Who says comedy and tragedy cannot coexist? Molière's comedy in Paris is truly unmatched. He cannot afford to give up, and the troupe might still have a chance. Marquise, accompanied by Molière, sought the help of the king. However, without an appointment, the guards blocked him outside. But this didn't deter Marquise. To convince the guard to let her in, she shyly tempted him, saying, "You let me in, and I'll let you in. Yes, just as you're thinking." The charm of the first beauty of France was irresistible to any man, let alone a mere guard. Marquise successfully met the king. She pleaded with the king to buy back Molière's theatre from the creditors. However, seeking favor from a monarch is not an easy task. The king redirected the conversation to Lesson. According to him, Lesson, in order to keep Marquis by his side, willingly gave 1/3 of his income to a notorious woman dealing in poisoned chocolates. The intention was clear: he wanted to poison Ryan and make Marquis turn to him. However, unforeseen circumstances, Ryan's fatal illness, prevented the chocolates from being delivered. Hearing this revelation, Marquis was shocked. She never expected Lesson to be such a ruthless man. Yet, she found it challenging to harbor resentment towards him. Perhaps it was time for Marquis to realize that she truly loved Lesson all along, and Lesson admitted to it. After all, what lover wouldn't do foolish things for the woman they loved? These words deeply moved Marquis. As the king was about to punish Lesson, unexpectedly, Molière pleaded on his behalf. Despite Lesson's tragedy undermining his comedy, both he and Ryan were magnanimous men. Ryan's death wasn't caused by Lesson. In the end, Molière won the king's favor due to his generosity and courage. As for Lesson, the king decided not to pursue the matter further. Later, Marquis starred in Andromaque, which became a huge success with the audience. From a girl dancing on the streets, Marquis transformed into the most dazzling actress in all of Paris. People called out her name, as if no one could replace Marquis in their hearts. Witnessing Marquis's success, the servant Mary was overcome with excitement and tears. She hoped to shine on the stage like Marquis. Without any hesitation, Marquis asked her to recite lines from Andromaque. Like Lesson once did, she personally taught Mary the lines, dispelling the misunderstanding about Marquis. Despite her million fans, Marquis remained the same pure and kind girl, generously imparting her skills to Mary without any fear that she might one day replace her. On that day, Marquis realized her menstrual cycle was delayed, indicating that she might be pregnant with Lesson's child. However, in order to preserve her acting opportunities and with Lesson set to become the king's historiographer, both of them being in favor at the royal court, they couldn't afford any mistakes. Marquis kept the pregnancy news to herself. With consecutive days of work taking a toll on Marquis's body, she understood that revealing her pregnancy would likely mean at least a year without performing. She made Lesson swear that if she couldn't perform temporarily, he would not find a replacement for her. Lesson readily agreed since, apart from Marquis, no one else could play Andromaque. Subsequently, Marquis joyfully attended the king's banquet. In those times, due to the belief that bathing could lower immunity during the Black Death, people, nobility or commoners alike, refrained from bathing. The consequence was the spread of lice all over their bodies. However, the king, wanting to bathe in front of everyone, prompted Lesson to write a short poem. The king requested Marquis to read it aloud while he bathed, soothing his soul. Marquis complied, but the king, perhaps intentionally challenging her, had her join him in the water. Unpretentious, Marquis removed her shoes and reluctantly entered the water with her exhausted body, satisfying the king's odd request. However, this caused Marquis to catch a cold. Despite feeling unwell, she had to push through because there was another performance that night. The worst scenario unfolded: Marquis collapsed on stage midway through the show. Desperate to find a replacement in this emergency, the backstage crew scrambled. Unexpectedly, Mary stepped forward. She had been mimicking Marquis every night backstage. With Marquis's expressions, lip movements, footwork, and gestures, Mary could replicate everything exactly. Although Lesson had promised Marquis not to replace her, he reluctantly agreed in this critical situation. Mary stood on the stage, mimicking Marquis using the techniques she learned from her. It seemed like a ridiculous scene, but the audience cared little. Whether it was Marquis or Mary, both received the warmest applause. Seeing this, Lesson was astonished. Marquis was not irreplaceable, as he once believed. 3 days later, Marquis finally woke up, with Molière caring for her day and night. Those who once surrounded him had vanished or turned into supporters of Mary. Unable to believe what had happened, Marquis told Molière not to forget her and ran out. Molière understood, Marquise lived for her performances, and without them, her life would come to an end. In the rain, Marquise arrived at the theatre and witnessed Mary playing her role, enjoying the attention from everyone, including Lasson. At that moment, Marquise felt utter despair. Turning back to the backstage area, she noticed a box of poisonous chocolates. Without second thoughts, she ate 3 or 4. Afterward, Marquise went on stage, reciting lines from the performance. Formerly playing a character in a tragedy, she now spoke of her own life. Circumventing through life, except for the stage, she had no place to go. The poison quickly took effect, and Marquise writhed in pain on the stage. Only at this point did she reveal the news of her pregnancy to Lasson. She had kept it a secret, fearing replacement. Lasson finally understood how much Marquise loved the stage. Unfortunately, it was too late. Marquise collapsed on the stage she loved the most. In the end, Lasson carried Marquise off the stage. Marquise's life had come to an end. Flowers bloom and wither, and seasons change. Marquise was a determined woman, and Lasson's betrayal was destined to face severe repercussions. With an unborn life, Marquise embarked on the journey toward death. Throughout her life, she encountered numerous men, with Ryan being the most selfless and dedicated, and Lasson being the one she loved the most. Ironically, the man she loved the most turned into a tragedy. Today's story ends here. We will see you next time.